Hey, this is Mark Washington from Making the Cut. I'm here with Sudan Ellington, the founder of Big Skills Academy. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
So,
How you doing?
how are you surviving everything going on with the coronavirus?
We're doing well. Family wise, everybody is safe. It was kind of rocky at the beginning. Had a niece that was pregnant with twins,
Oh, wow.
and then I got a sister that has, heart complications.
Wow.
So, having my niece prepared for a baby in the hospital, and we couldn't let her come back in the house, you know what I mean, with my
Hmm.
sick sister. So we were like, hey, you got to go to a hotel. You got to go quarantine. Make sure you good. So, but they're good. Everybody's fine. It's just a different time right now. But just praying for everybody to be safe and hopefully we can get back to normal soon.
Yeah. So, how did you come up with the concept of Big Skills Academy? What drove it?
So I think what everybody used to say, man. What's your passion will make room for you. Um, with my experience coming up, I was a high school All American. And once I got to the University of Tennessee, I quickly learned that I didn't know how to play a game of football. And that's a lot of kids' problems. They're bigger, stronger, faster, and they can get away with being bigger, stronger, and faster. And when you get to that next level, it's a lot of responsibility, being where you're supposed to be, do your job. And so I never learned that. And so I had to take a crash course my first 2 years in college, understanding how to play the game at a college level. And from there, led me to after my playing days was over, I was like, I don't want any other kid to go through some of the things I went through that could be prevented. And so my dream and my goal was to reach those younger generation players, and talk football with them, talk life with them, responsibility. And it basically kind of led to Big Skills Academy.
For offensive and defensive linemen that are in high school now, what is their biggest adjustment from that high school game to the college game?
Oh man, just the speed of the game, the strength of the game, the terminology. Depending on if you're offensive lineman, you have to know the calls. You have to be who you're supposed to be. As far as defensive lineman, where you're supposed to be, what's your do's, what's your don'ts. In high school, they put the best athletes on the field and let you rock. Like, go get the ball and you think you're balling. But when you get to college, it's like, no, this is your job. You got to do this within your framework of what we're asking you to do. And that's where a lot of guys just kind of, miss the mark. And so, like I said, that's one of the things I wanted to help try to prevent.
From the offensive line point of view, like I said, I'm 50 years old, so I remember a lot of the Oklahoma, Nebraska days, a lot of triple option, a lot of straightforward blocking, and to today where we see a lot of 11 personnel, we see a lot of spread now. How has the skill set for an offensive lineman changed?
Oh, it has drastically changed. I mean, I remember back in the day, even in college, at one point, my coach was teaching the offensive lineman how to use the flipper, like put the forearm shiver on people. And that style of play is no longer. You pretty much a basketball player, a power forward or a center. You got to be able to move your feet. You got to be able to move your hands, and move in sequence. So the game has changed to a more slimmer body type, at least slimmer, long arm, long legs, slim guys. They like long arms so they can punch and not really let you get to their bodies. Athletic footwork, you know what I mean? So the whole stigma has changed. Before it was ground and pound, and now with these rules with NFL and now college, they call it basketball on turf. It's how long can you stay in front of a guy, and that's the unique part about it. Like, the rules has changed, and I think it's benefited linemen or power forwards that's stuck at 6'5". And when you go to college and you 6'5", you're a point guard.
Right,
So it's
right. Yeah.
like, well, do I struggle there or do I, go play somebody left tackle and be a first round draft pick?
So you are a two sports star and you are also a basketball player. How did those sports you talk about all these changes? How did those sports complement each other?
Just being athletic, agility wise, you will use more agility, in the basketball setting that you would do. But it just gave you a better range of being athletic. I mean, I know guys that never played football in high school and showed up on a basketball game and was like, oh, okay, this kid can play. We actually had a kid named Mo who trained with Coach Kitchen, went to VCU, played there 4 years, and every day I see him, I say, hey, bro, you're a defensive end. His senior year, my friend Jason Wooden comes to town, and we go watch VCU play. And Jason says, hey, man, you'll be a great tight end. You know what that kid is today? He's a tight end with the Colts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the transferable. Antonio Gates. I saw Antonio Gates play at Kent State. I saw him play basketball at Kent State. In fact, in their tournament run in Rupp. And next thing I know, I saw him in the NFL. So definitely transferable skills. For defensive linemen, we hear so much about the importance of, the edge rushers and so on and so forth in today's NFL. But for an interior defensive lineman, what is it like now, and what are the transferable skills that don't show up in just sack numbers?
Their jobs. And the league hasn't completely turned over from it, so that's a good thing. But the edges has definitely, changed because they want pass rushers on the edge. You get those teams like San Francisco that like to rush all four, then you got a problem. But then you have guys, teams like who is it? Kansas City, who has a traditional nose guard. So in a 3-4 defense, you want that big body, strong guy to push the pocket while your edge guys collapse the pocket. So everybody has to work together. You know what I mean? So if the nose guard wasn't taking a double team and pushing the pocket back and the edge rushes wasn't collapsing, everybody has a real role. And I think, nowadays that you can be a run stopper and develop as a pass rusher as well interiorly, and you'll be very successful. Like you'll see with the Redskins. I think with them changing from a 3-4 and going to a 4-3, like they've had the personnel to do it. But I think you'll see those Timmy Settle, guys like Timmy Settle, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. I think they sacks numbers will increase because they get to go back and beat one-on-one, and they're dynamic to do it.
So, when you're in high school going to college, how important, when you're talking to these guys, how much do you stress fit? So, a lot of these guys will get multiple offers from multiple schools that maybe have different philosophies. How do you identify for a high school kid going to college, what is the best fit for him?
My thing is development. I try to, help parents understand that the name is the name, but is it the right fit for your son? And there's some guys that's, went to some schools and I was like, I don't think that's a good fit for you. But it's Alabama, it's a big Alabama, it's a Clemson, it's a whatever, and they feel like the name of the school really matters. But this time has really shown us that, man, getting on the field really matters. There's no pro days with the coronavirus, so a lot of pro days was cut. So a lot of guys that was hoping for an opportunity, it was cut this year. So scouts and coaches and everybody was watching film. Like, what do you do in your film? And so more film you can get out there, showing what you can do, it's better. But it's development for me. And I've been in this game for a while. So, my thing is give me the snapshot. Give me a picture. From where I am today, where would I be in 4 years? And what is your plan, coach, to get me to that point? And I tell my guys, be blunt. Like, this is for high school kids, recruiting is the only time for me. And this is how I did my process. My dad was like, this is the only selfish time you'll ever get. So if you want the cute girl with the whatever, this is what you ask for. You know what I mean? Put it on the table. Because once you commit, you committed. So now you have to do everything in your power to make that team, that unit you playing with, defensive line, O-line, whatever unit you're on, you got to dive in and make that the best unit possible. And it's not no, man, you made this decision. So now your job is to do everything you have to do to fit in, to push your team over the edge. And so development is probably one of my main things. Like, does this kid come out raw and then come out a All-American at the end of the day? Or you just manage 5 stars. Hey, we ain't gonna really change you up a little bit. We just gonna get you. And so that's the thing I have my parents really look at. And I have a running list of, coaches that I've seen develop on all levels, not just D1, but all levels in development. So
from college to the NFL, where's the balance between prepping and O-line or D-line for the combine with what you just said, what's actually on film? Because it seems like sometimes there are some workout warriors who have really improved their draft spot on, because of the combine, but then they get on the field and it just doesn't match.
That's the Houdini of it all. That is the Houdini of it all. And that's why I went back to say this time has really changed. And even with my philosophies, I'm more about, hey, we're going to do the physical work like we've been doing, but we got to dive more into your film. And going through this year's process with pre-draft guys, I could kind of say I was a little disappointed in the football IQ of these guys, because I interview them like it's an NFL job. So, how smart are you? Like, can you draw up a play? What's your favorite call from your defense that your defense coordinator, when you knew he called this play, you just got excited? Guys couldn't get on the board and draw it. They couldn't identify what was going on around them. And what people understand, especially high school to college, like, this is a mental game. The NFL is a mental, in college too, it's a mental game. So there's some physical, when you get to college, there's some physical and mental hurdles. But if you can lock in mentally in college, it'll set you apart.
Yeah. So what's the difference between, kind of a rough difference between a college playbook and an NFL playbook? Because I think for the average fan, kind of the, Al Bundy, I was a star in high school type of guy, it just comes off as, oh, well, this is simple. But when you look at one of those playbooks, it is anything but simple.
So it's honestly, it's where you go. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these, coaches now are leaning toward the NFL playbook a little bit and calling some of the NFL type, maybe the NFL type concepts on plays, but they always dub me down, the language of it. I just think in college, in the league, the language is a lot longer. Yeah. But I think the playbook kind of simmers a little bit. I know New England, Alabama, I knew in the past the Texans, they all ran the same defense with the same, in UVA, with the same call. So they ain't changed nothing up. So it's like, hey, y'all called it rabbit over here? Okay, they call it rabbit there. So it just depends on where your coordinator comes from or where your position coach comes from, or like what's his tree. You know what I mean? So who was the guy at the top of the tree that's, shaking the trees, and did you fall off that branch?
So one of the things I always felt like was underrated in basketball, and what I try to teach kids, is how to watch film. I don't think that the skill set of how to watch film is where it is. And because people don't know, truly, they don't know what they're watching. How do you stress to these guys the proper way to watch film?
It's tough. It's tough because, my dad always told me, man, the hardest person to look at is the man in the mirror. You know what I mean? And so guys only want to see the good things and the highlights. And so when we watch film, I'm looking at nothing, but I'm not even looking at the highlights. I'm looking at, my whole process is, how did you get there? Great, you made a pancake. Great, you made a sack. But, hey, man, did you stay in your rush lanes? Did you use your hands? Did you stay low? How did you get there? Because that, to me, that's what really matters. Because you can slang little Jimmy from alley to the blind around all day long. And then when it comes to another guy 6'6" and match you eye to eye, will those same techniques work and approach work? And that's what I'm always kind of, poking at our guys. Like, don't look at who you're playing against. Let's prepare for where you're trying to go. And let's be realistic. Will you see this guy where you're trying to go? If the answer is no, then we still got work to do.
Right.
If it's
right.
yeah, then it's like, well, that's a good piece of film we should watch.
So you were in the SEC, And we always hear that the SEC speed is as close to the NFL as possible. Is it truly that close?
Facts. Week
Facts.
in and week
Okay.
out with Alabama and the Georgias and the Floridas. And I think the biggest, like, it was weird, man, because, like, when Dante Stallworth, one of our receivers, got drafted to the Saints, and then John Henderson went to Jacksonville. And, after OTAs, they came back and they was like, bruh, this is Tennessee without school.
Oh, okay. Dang.
I said, what? He said, bruh, this is our practices are harder, and we just got to go to school once we finish practice. That's it. So the speed and everything that, the tempo our coaches kind of operated in was close or similar to how the tempo and the skill set of the league. So Tennessee did a good job at the time.
So what are some of the things, and I try to talk to kids about this, 4 years in college or 5 years, however it is probably going to be the most fun that you have. Even though when I tell high school kids this, they think it's high school, and I say, look, it does not prepare to the fun you're going to have in college. For yourself, when you go talk about some of the away from the field stuff, how do you describe the differences between the demands on you in high school and the demands on you when you get on that large campus?
There's no demand. There's no demand in high school. You show up, you do what you do, and that's it. When you get to college, you got to think about it. There's somebody right next to you, sitting right next to you, want to take your job or take whatever playing time that you have. And so you have to use a little discernment. You know what I mean? Like, you have to figure out what your work ethic is and what's going to separate you. Going back to my dad, man, he was like, he threw a little celebration for like 5 minutes when I committed. It's like, oh, great, he's going to Tennessee. Yeah, make your calls, hug your mama, kiss everybody. All right, now it's time to go work. And that's how my dad, that's how he rolled with it. Like, it's time to work. Because the easiest thing is to sit at a table with people around you and celebrate the moment. But you got grown men with grown man problems in the college locker room. And that's how they going to feed their family. And that's how they going to take care of their daughters or their son. So it becomes a business real quick. And guys that don't, look at it as such, man, they miss the mark.
Social media is such a big place. Social media obviously wasn't around when I played. It is so tenfold. And you're a 3-star, you're a 4-star, you're out here, tweeting after a game. Sometimes some of them are tweeting during a game. How do you get them out of the tweet stuff and understand that some of the social media stuff never goes away? It never, something that you said at 16 and you're 22 can just pop up out of nowhere.
This draft, I think these last couple of years, and I tell guys, set the dream. Where do you want to go? And I think this is one of the hardest parts that, people deal with this, even during the draft, right? You seen guys get drafted, and the first thing they want to go talk about, oh, he beat up a girl or stole a wallet from somebody or this, and this. And what kids have to understand is the NFL is a billion dollar business, right? So they're not going to let anybody in that's going to tarnish the shield. Right. So even though it's, oh, I made a mistake, this and this stuff don't go away because they want to protect the shield. They want to protect the brand. And so that's why I stress to these young people that this is a business now, and you have to handle your business, because if you don't, it's gonna get out of hand real quick.
And that's what it seems like, and we see it in all the sports. It's just these guys who made bad decisions, and a lot of that comes to your home. It sounds like to me you had a dad that was in charge.
Right. Yeah. He was on top. But the thing about what I love about my pops is he does the same thing. So he mentored, like, the AIs and the George Lynches of the world, the Grant Hills of the world. So he was in the business, the sports business, but just on the basketball side. So he knew the negotiation. He knew, because he's been in, conversation with, okay, well, we up for negotiation. What are they going to say? They ain't going to talk all good about you. They going to find something bad because they ain't going to just give you money. So he's always kind of prepared us in that way, like, hey, you got to be wise in your decision making. You got to know what's your surroundings. So a lot of those experiences I try to give to our players just to understand, like, yeah, you can make $1 on the field, but you can make more off in an image that people want to see. You know what I mean? So educating about the business of football.
So if a high school or college player wants to find you, how do they get in contact with you, your organization, set things up, and go through your program?
So you can go through our website. It's bigskillsacademy.com. I'm on all the social media platforms. So Twitter with Big Skills Acad, and then on IG, I'm Big Skills Academy, and you'll see our logo on each platform.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking time out and joining me today. This is a helpful conversation. And it's a conversation that, I deal with a lot of high school kids more than I deal with college kids. And it's a conversation that needs to be heard and about the processes and everything that comes with it. And I appreciate you taking time out.